Most days, as of late, I haven't felt like creating art at all. But when I show up within sometimes 5 to 30 minutes, I start feeling that inspiration come. And I have a lot more tricks up my sleeve to help me create, even when I really don't feel like it. And that's what we'll be talking about today. So let's get to it. Hello and welcome. My name is Lauren Elizabeth with Lauren Elizabeth Animal Art. I'm on day 429 of my 365 Days of Color Challenge. This is year 2. I'm a pet and wildlife artist and instructor. If you're new here, welcome. I finally got sick after months and months of my children being ill. I got strep throat and I'm just getting over that now. So hence why I haven't really been feeling like creating art, but I'm gonna go over 10 tips to help you create art when you're really not feeling like it, or you're just recovering from an illness, or maybe you're going through addiction or depression or anxiety, and there's a lot going on internally that's affecting your creation process. We'll talk about that right now. For those of you that don't know this challenge that I'm doing, it's the second year of where I create art for 10 minutes each day, any kind of animal art. So crocheting, painting, coloring, drawing. By now, this is an established habit. I'm so automated to sit and create art even when I don't feel like it. Sometimes it's as quickly as 5 minutes after I sit down that I get excited about what I'm creating. And then other times, as of late, I've been feeling like it takes a good 30 minutes for me to start feeling inspired. So tip number 1, if you want this to become a habit, or if you just want to sit down and finish a project or start one, that's the key. Get started to get inspired. Honestly, how I created this habit was I just kept showing up each day, small bites at a time. And that leads me to step 2. Don't overwhelm yourself with these big, huge bites that you can't swallow. Just small bites at a time. I do 10 minutes. I mean, honestly, I know that 10 minutes seems like just hardly any time to do any art. But think about it, 10 minutes of doodling or 10 minutes of working on a painting. Maybe you work on an eyeball on the painting. I've said that to a student before. All those little bites add up to become the final masterpiece or just a bunch more art that you always wanted to create. I have 2 children now. They're very little and they take a lot of energy and time and love, and you would think that I'm actually going to create less art now than before children. That's not the case at all. I'm actually creating far more art than I've ever created in my life because I really value those small bites. And I know that's not the pattern of this world. You gotta go big, you gotta go large, you gotta do it all at one time, you gotta finish a painting in one sitting. Like, that is what we hear, that's what we're believing, we're seeing that on social media, but that's overwhelming, it's not even practical, so it's better to do 10 minutes than no minutes. Now, the alternative to just showing up is learning something. I find that every painting teaches something new. So you can at least watch a tutorial, whether it's time-lapse or real-time, so that you could learn something from that painting. But the next part of that is taking what you learned from that and planning a painting that you can apply it to. I find that I feel so productive when I've watched a tutorial and then I apply those techniques to my own art. So instead of just blindly and mindlessly watching a tutorial, really plan on taking what you learned from that tutorial into another painting. And that solidifies those lessons so well in your brain. This is why in my online animal art masterclass, every single tutorial, every single one comes with class notes. I summarize the most important notes on value, composition, creating depth, layering, blending. I just uploaded a polar bear drawing and painting tutorial where I, in the class notes, listed my 7-step drawing process. And these are all notes and lessons that you can take into the next painting. Now, instead of watching a tutorial, you can do the other thing I do, which is I will look for reference photos. I will go through so many reference photos to find that one that I paint from. I'm extremely picky with reference photos, so I need that time to look for those good ones. Tip number 5, I highly recommend trying different mediums. Sometimes you just need a low mess option. I love Copic markers and colored pencils for that reason. Sometimes you have a bit more time and you can get messy with acrylic paint or watercolor. Some days I just don't feel like using acrylics. Sometimes I just love the feeling of brushing those Copic markers over my sketchbook. Other days I just love to just sit in front of my paint palette and mix up all these different pastel colors, these spring colors. I've been mixing a lot of Easter tones lately. And that leads me to tip number 6, is to have 1 to 3 projects open. I would say no less than 1, no more than 3. You don't want to feel so overwhelmed that you have all these unfinished projects, but you maybe want to have more to choose from than just 1. For example, I'll have 1 commission open that I'll be working on, a bit more complex, more time intensive. Another much easier project that'll be in my 5x7 sketchbook. It'll be with colored pencils. And maybe another one is where I'm doing color swatches on my mixed media paper with acrylic paints. So I have some more complex ones and some easier ones, depending on how you're feeling, the amount of time you have, and also just the circumstances of your life. And that leads me to tip number 7. It's really important that you have a purpose connected to your art. This can be so beneficial when you're battling addiction or anxiety or depression, because there's something that goes on in the heart when you're creating for someone else or for a cause. But if we're focused on the needs and wants and feelings of other people, we take that focus off and onto them. And there really is such a satisfying thing, feeling it just takes over your body when you're creating something to benefit somebody else or a charity cause or something. Now, I don't think that many artists really know this because they just put themselves in a box and that they're this way and no one else is like this. But I'll make about 4 or 5 okay paintings before I make one great one. Sometimes I'm lucky and I get like 1, 2, 3 paintings that I just love, but it is normal to have like 4 or 5 paintings that they're like, okay, or maybe they're even awful in your eyes. And then that one painting is that masterpiece that you just love. And that leads me to tip number 8, toss the record board. No more keeping score. Any records that you're holding of your past of not creating great art, just scratch that, erase it, forgive yourself, let yourself just go of all that baggage. New canvas, new opportunity to create an awesome painting. Now, the mind is so very connected to the body. Whatever you do with your body will affect the mind. I find that light, moderate exercise like a quick walk always does the trick to inspire me. Our bodies are literally programmed to walk. Walk gets that blood to your brain, activates all your senses. Being in the sunshine too, getting that vitamin D, and that physical activity actually gets us moving. It keeps us in that momentum and motivates us to create art. And that leads me to tip number 10. I think it's probably the most important tip of all, and artists really let this sink in, is no expectations. At the very most, expect yourself to have fun and to do well. But other than that, take off all expectations. I know for me, I don't really want to create art when I'm trying to please someone or a group of people, or I'm trying to meet a unrealistic time constraint that I put on myself. Approach a painting playfully, excited to learn and excited to grow, just like a child. Alright, creatives, so I genuinely hope that this video was what you needed to get creating art again. Creating animal art daily and also using my gifts to serve others, this played a huge part in my own recovery with addiction. That was 7 years ago. I'm addiction free now, and that's why I talk about it all the time. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope this helped. If this blessed you, make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye! Now, starting today and all through the rest of March to celebrate Easter, I'm giving 50% off your first month in the online Animal Art Masterclass. This is an ongoing acrylic pet and wildlife painting class for artists age 15 and up, and it's specifically designed to be a relaxing, uplifting, therapeutic outlet for those who are battling addiction, anxiety, and depression. I have that 50% off discount code below. It ends at the last day of March, so if this would bless you or a friend, pass it on. And in the meantime, happy painting and happy Easter.